Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July Charter Chat. Next slide, please. So this is the caveat. This information contained in this presentation is provided as a reference only. Charter schools and chartering authorities are encouraged to review the laws and regulations and consult with their own legal counsel regarding the application to their specific situations. So even though we do have attorneys on this call, this is really only for your information, and we are here to support you. Next slide, please. So this is the agenda. We're going to cover the introduction, current updates, hot topics, breakout rooms, and Q&A. And for those of you who have never been to a charter chat before, or we actually do have to read everything on the slide. I know that is going to sound a little annoying sometimes, but it is for accessibility. So please bear with us as we read all of the information on the slide. So next slide, please. So CASI is, we're going to do welcomes and introductions. CASI is the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative, and it is made up of the Santa Clara County Office of Education, or SCCOE, the Los Angeles County Office of Education, or LACO, and the San Diego Unified School District, or SDUSD, with support from CCAP. So if you go to the next slide, please. I'm Dr. Michelle Johnson. I'm the director at the Santa Clara County Office of Education Charter School Department. And I am joined by my colleagues, Shalu Sharma, who's the fiscal administrator, and Justin Fallon, who's our admin assistant for he's the one who's driving the slides, so we're really grateful that he's here. We do have support from the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, or CCAP, and represented by Tom Hutton. And I'm going to turn the slide over to Jeff, since Indra's not here, and he can read all of the LACO people.
Hi, yes, so we have Indra Ciccarelli, the director, Rocio Lara, another director at LACO, Daryl Brown, a coordinator, Renee Cardona, a coordinator, Angela Fernandez, a coordinator, I'm a coordinator, Jean Law is a coordinator, Duncan McCulloch is a coordinator, Shelly Nye is a coordinator, and now we have Sal Macias, our new admin assistant, Sheila Rudolph, a principal office technician, and Marta Tremblay, a data processing assistant.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to introduce Deidre Walsh, and she can read all of the names for her people.
Hi. So I'm Deidre Walsh, the director. We also have Tiffany DeGraffenreid, who's the manager in the office, Richard Faraci, who is the program manager, Joanne Lynn Henning, also a program manager, and we have two senior financial accountants, Teresa Goody and Nadine Creer.
All right, next slide. So to start off with, we have a previous charter chat question. These are questions that have popped up in the past that provide information for everyone. And the question that popped up the last time is, where do I find the Highlands audit? So for your information, the Highlands audit can be found on the California State Auditor website, and we actually have a link for you on the resource page. So if you're not familiar with the resource page, it's in the participant folder, and you have all of the information that is in these slides on that resource page. Next slide, please. So we would like you to rename yourself, which means put your name with your organization afterwards. The example would be Michelle Johnson, Santa Clara COE. The reason for this is so that we will be, when we go into our breakout rooms a little bit later, we'll be able to know who we're interacting with, and we will have 4 authorizer rooms and 1 non-authorizer room. And I have already not done mine, so I'm going to do mine right now and show you how to do it. So I'm renaming myself. You over on the far side, you can click on your name and Santa Clara COE. So now when you see my name, it now actually pops up. It is Michelle Johnson, Santa Clara County COE. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn the time over to Tom to give us the legislative updates.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. There is, although it's maybe a slow summer in other ways, there's a lot going on in the legislature. We had a couple of hearings that kept bills moving that relate to charter school oversight. The legislature is currently in recess until August 18th, and then when it returns, it has until September 12th to pass out any bill this year. So we'll see what happens. But just to run through the list, if you see the first slide are the list of assembly bills that bear watching. And the biggest one probably of the whole session is AB 84. That's introduced by Assembly Ed Chair Muratsuchi. And it's, you might think of it as sort of an omnibus bill on charter school accountability. It includes provisions, and in the spirit of having to read all the slides, it includes provisions as wide ranging as an Office of Education Inspector General, school financial and performance audits, a lot of things about authorizing there. So this one in particular focuses on authorizing to a degree. Oversight generally, funding, operations, charter networks, and contracting, data systems, contractor background checks. And again, this is sort of one of the bills that's an outgrowth of the experience with the A3 charter fraud and the various reports that came out related to that. That bill is scheduled for a hearing on August 18th. In Senate Appropriations. It was passed out of the Senate Education Committee. The next one is AB 640, also authored by Chair Muratsuchi, and this sets some new governance training requirements for LEAs. That one is also in that Senate Appropriations hearing on the 18th, which, by the way, has just dozens and dozens of bills. So that's where they kind of take a look at the fiscal end of things. AB 714, introduced by, I'm not sure I have the pronunciation right, but Zbur and Adis. That's relating to discrimination and curriculum and instructional materials where the concern is that it might subject students to discriminatory conduct, and it provides a complaint process. That one has been amended and is re-referred back to the Senate Education Committee. And the last assembly bill that we have listed this month is AB 1264 by Assemblymember Gabriel. That it has to do with pupil nutrition and defining something that would be harmful ultra-processed foods. It has the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment make a definition and regulations, and then over time, those things that are flagged with that can no longer be included in school meals. That one also is on that August 18th Senate Appropes agenda. Next slide, please, and we'll jump to the Senate bills that are in motion on the Assembly side now. And the first is Senate Bill 414. That is sort of the Senate version of AB 84. It's a little bit narrower in scope than AB 84, but it does also address a bunch of the accountability and financial and performance audits and some things about authorizing. And again, is an attempt to address the concerns that were revealed by the A3 charter fraud case. A shorthand version, if you saw the hearings on the Assembly bill, all the kind of labor representatives got up and paraded and said, we love this. And the charter schools said, we hate it. And then the reverse happened on the other side, where all the charter school people said, we love Senate Bill 414, and all the labor people said they didn't like it. So that's kind of the dynamic there. And then the other bill is, and I should mention, I don't think that one is, that one's been scheduled yet, but it did pass out of the Assembly Ed. The other bill is Senate Bill 48 by Senator Gonzalez, and that is the one that you may have seen in the news about immigration enforcement, and in saying that if there's any immigration enforcement, they have to have a warrant. You have to notify the superintendent first. You have to make sure FERPA is protected, and just sort of an attempt to make sure that schools are still safe spaces for all kids. And that one, I think, also is not, those hearings haven't been set quite yet, or at least they hadn't by the time I saw it yesterday. So that's it from me.
All right, thank you. So we're now going to move into the California Department of Education, or CDE, and State Board of Education updates. So the state board meeting was held on July 9th of 2025. The agenda included non-classroom based funding determination and looking at the growth model. The DOS information was supposed to be on that agenda and was taken off. The next State Board of Education meeting will be held on September 10th and 11th of 2025. The next ACCS meeting will be held on August 12th of 2025. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn this slide over to Deidre to talk about our quarterly training that we held on July 17th.
Hi. As Michelle mentioned, we did hold our first, not CASI's first, but San Diego Unified hosting as the primary party, the first quarterly training in July. It was on setting up for success and getting yourself ready for site visits. So we talked a bit about best practices. We talked a little bit about some of the programs and electronic pieces that can be used to facilitate getting ready for your site visits and collecting documents. We talked about the different approaches that authorizers take. So the presentation was between primarily I can't even my own district, right? San Diego Unified, LACO, and Santa Clara County. And so we had presentations where we would present a topic and all three of the LEAs would discuss kind of how they do that approach or how they do that process. So it gave participants hopefully a little bit of a view of how the same thing can be done in multiple different ways. So that was kind of what our first quarterly training was about. We have, I know the CDE sent out a hold the date for the next one that will be in October, and we're working on a topic for that. So we'll get that out as soon as we can. Thank you.
All right. Next slide, please. So we're moving on to hot topics. So this is information on topics that is relevant to oversight of charter schools, and we're going to be talking about the program and the fiscal. So next slide, please. So I'm going to give you some information on the program oversight of hot topics. So planning for next year. One of the first things that you should go and do is go back to Deidre's presentation, which has been posted on the CDE website under the quarterly trainings, and it will provide you information on setting up for success for planning for next year. The other thing that you can do is look at the Santa Clara County website. We have a calendar of events and documents that we ask all of our charter schools to use. And you can help you set yourself up for success of getting ready for planning for next year. So one of the first things that we did was we updated our calendar, and then we started holding meetings for our renewal meetings. We are going to have three charter schools coming up for renewal, and we've started making out those plans, and we're now going to be setting up our annual visit calendars as well. So that covers our planning for next year. The other topic that we have is LCAP reviews. So authorizers do not approve charter schools' LCAPs. That responsibility falls to the charter school board. Authorizers do review the LCAP, as it is one of the required documents to be submitted to authorizers per Education Code 47604.32. Santa Clara utilizes the county superintendent review document to review LCAPs, which are submitted to SCCOE by our authorized charter schools. We do not review, our charter schools department does not review any of the non-county authorized charter LCAPs. Those fall to their own authorizers. So in the breakout rooms, it might be a good idea or might be interesting to discuss how all of you review LCAPs. As an authorizer, you might want to also include posting that your authorized charters LCAPs on your own website to ensure that the public has access. LCAPs are to be posted on the charter's website and on the county's website, but best practices for the authorizer to also post that LCAP for the charters that they authorize on their own websites. All right, next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Shalou.
Thank you, Michelle. So for fiscal oversight, we have two topics here, starting with a reminder. Pupil estimates for new or significantly expanding charters are due July 31, which is tomorrow, 2025, for the fiscal year 25-26. Just to let people know, the PenSec report allows the new or the expanding charter to receive advanced apportionment funding based on the PenSec report or the 20-day charter attendance report. For more details, there is a CDE website link provided. So if you can explore that for more details on PenSec reporting and other due dates regarding that. The second topic that we want to discuss here is regarding the 45-day budget revise. For Education Code 42127H, all LEAs have an opportunity to file a revised budget 45 days after the Governor Newsom has signed the California bill into law. This revision allows the LEAs to start the fiscal year with the accurate budget information based on the changes to the revenue and expenditure based on the enacted budget. Governor Newsom signed the 25-26 Budget Act, Assembly Bill 121, on July 27, 2025. All 45-day revisions are due by August 11, 2025. To highlight some key revisions that are included in the enacted budget, as first, expanded learning opportunity program. That includes the changes to Tier 1 threshold from UPP of 75% to 55% UPP, and raises the minimum funding level from $50,000 to $100,000. Second to highlight is student support and professional development discretionary block grant, the allocation of $1.7 billion to establish this block grant. The third is about allocation of $378 million for partial restoration of learning recovery and emergency block grant. And the fourth, allocation of $1.2 billion to lower child to staff ratio from 10 to 1 for universal TK program. Next slide, please. Now I'll hand over to, I believe, Michelle for the breakout rooms.
Awesome. But because we actually have like 3 minutes, I want to take an extra amount of time right now and share that we have the CASI website. And I don't, and so I'm going to actually stop the share from Justin. And I'm going to share my screen for just one moment, because I want to make sure that we've had, as part of the questions that we have heard from people, people keep asking us, where do we get all this information? And so I'm going to share with you. So I go to cde.ca.gov, and here under specialized programs, there's charter schools. And if you scroll down, you can see Charter Authorizer Support Initiative, or CASI. And here we have everything you could ever want to know about charters. So we have all of the monthly charter chat, past charter chats. And if you click here, you can see all the information, and it gives you all the resource pages. The only thing is that this makes it a little harder to find the data. If you had a specific question about what Shalou was just talking about PenSec, well, you have to go back through the months. But if we back it up and go take a look at the quarterly trainings, well, now it's all by topic. And you can literally see, I've had people ask me questions about renewals, and I'm like, it's on the CASI website. Go take a look. And so I can now see right here that Deidre's presentation from July hasn't been posted yet. So we will make sure that that gets posted very quickly, but I wanted to show you that everything is here. And this has been going on since April of 2022. So there's lots of data out there, and we're constantly coming back around. So if you have questions about the CASI website or about information about things that you don't know, this is the place to start your questions. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and let Justin go back to sharing for the breakout rooms. And we're now going to move into the breakout rooms. And this is, you're going to be moved into a breakout room. There'll be an opportunity for note taking, but when you get there, keep introductions short in the interest of time. We'll make sure that we notify any first timers. And then we'll come back at the end and we'll report a discussion highlights back to the whole group. So I'm going to say, Amy, take us away.
Okay, opening now.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming back. And let's share out. So I can tell you in room 1, we spent a lot of time talking about our LCAP reviews. Many of us use the county soup checklist. Some have created our own internal checklists. Different authorizers, excuse me. Sorry. Some authorizers provide response letters. Some do a budget response letter. LACO actually went back and has LCAP training topics in supplemental concentration, educational partners, and the required metrics. And they're putting that together with their feedback letters. So lots of information about LCAP review. Room 2.
Okay, we had a great example of people kind of figuring out their systems for the first time and being very free to ask the questions of the people in the room. So that was really what CASI's all about. So there are questions about, where do I find resources on both sort of renewal timelines, but also just the ongoing oversight timelines and deadlines and what you ask for and what you do with it, with what. We had a discussion about, there are some helpful lists out there, but there's also, in the interest of getting things in place, somewhat of a triage approach where you really prioritize the legal requirements that are the non-negotiables and then maybe look to other things after that. Also thinking hard about what other colleagues, assuming if you have, depending on the organization of your and size of your district and county, are there other colleagues that you can go to for help or that should be kind of on top of the authorizer role for the district, even if they're not formally tasked with that role because it's in their area of expertise. Similar questions around LCAP and the difference between the authorizer's review process and, say, for example, the county office's approval process. It's a different role. So how much input do you give on an LCAP? And at a minimal, talking about the compliance and completeness, and maybe helpfully referring the school to other trainings and resources if you don't want to get too prescriptive in your authorizer role. And then other questions about, like, for submissions, what format do you ask? Can you set the guidelines for how you want to receive information and how you go about that? And again, there's resources out there on that part. And just finally, just the connecting the two topics, and that is that the sound ongoing monitoring process is what sets up a smooth renewal process so that it's transparent. There's no surprises. It can be a continual feedback loop that kind of in the interest of kids, gets people's attention focused on challenges and the things that are going well early enough so that it doesn't sort of all come to a head in a big surprise during that renewal year.
Thanks, Tom. How about room 3?
Hi. So room 3, we also talked about the LCAPs and the review. So I'll do a kind of a quick summary because Michelle and Tom both hit on topics that we discussed in our room as well. So it was general. We talked about, what we review in the LCAP, how we give, as the authorizer, how we give feedback and suggestions. When we do that, what's the timing of it? If we require revisions to the LCAP and charter schools to go back and resubmit after they've done those revisions. We talked a little bit about monitoring board meetings for the LCAP for the drafts and making sure that schools are holding those public hearings and the approvals. And then the follow-up with the schools. Some of it's done with just informal communication, some of it's done with letters, and just general ways of following up on the concerns that were identified by the authorizer.
Thank you. All right, room 4.
Room 4, we spent the majority of our time talking about LCAPs as well. I think that the last 3 rooms covered basically the same topics that we talked about. I will point out just, I guess, one thing about LCAPs that I found, and that is that, and I won't say which authorizer, but there is an authorizer who's using Claude AI to review LCAPs. And so I have requested that once they get that figured out, that they let us know so that we can all have an easier time reviewing the LCAPs. And then the other interesting thing that came out of our group is that CCAP is working with a couple members of this group or attendees here, participants here, to put together a toolkit for special education for authorizers.
Great, thank you. All right, and last but not least, our non-authorizer room.
I'll go ahead and share out on that one. And we had a lot of interesting topics came up, ranging from what are the requirements for an administrative credentialing of a like a dean at a charter school or a site principal, et cetera. How about teacher credential requirements? So we went over that and also talked about TK, what are the ratios, and what there was some confusion apparently between the 24 and the 20 last year, this year. I think we got that one fairly straightened out. Then we also had a discussion about what happens when you have county office of educations that don't release their funds in a timely manner versus some of them that it's not even an issue. And so as a whole range of topics came up, and it was not just a matter of talking about the legislation or the statute, but how do you work through these situations, and what's the best way to handle them? What's the best way for the ultimate goal is to serve the students at the school. So it was a pretty vigorous, wide-ranging discussion.
Thank you. All right, so next slide, please. We do live and breathe feedback. So please complete our short after meeting survey to share your feedback and suggest hot topics for our upcoming charter chat and regional meetings. The survey link is there. It's also now in the chat for you. And so please give us your feedback. Next slide, please. So upcoming CASI events. As you know, we have our monthly charter chat. So our next one will be in August, on August 27th. It'll be the last, from 10 to 11. We do have our next CASI quarterly training. We have the date and the time. We do not have the topic yet. So that's why we're asking for some feedback from all of you as to topics that you might want. So our next CASI meeting will, or our next quarterly training will be October 17th from 9 to 11 a.m. Next slide, please. So we also have Authorizing 101, Fiscal 101, or the topic of your choice. CASI can bring free training via Zoom or on-site locally to those of you who might need additional support. Authorizing 101 can also be tailored to local topical priorities. You can pair it with a training for charter schools, or you can combine with other authorizers. So you can reach out to CASI at cde.ca.gov. Next slide, please. CASI also has one-on-one technical support. You can reach out to me. I'm the CASI contract lead to arrange assistance for one-on-one technical. You can also contact Deidre if you're interested in mentoring support. CASI now has a brand new mentoring program. And finally, if you would like one of those on-site trainings, you can also reach out to Indra Ciccarelli at LACO to arrange that training. Next slide, please. So please contact us at casi@cde.ca.gov. The next slides are our individual contact information. So you can contact Santa Clara, you can contact LACO, you can contact San Diego, and I know this never happens with our charter chats, but I am giving you the gift of time of 7 minutes. Don't tell anybody, but you get to run away and have 7 minutes of freedom that your calendar says that you're supposed to be with us. So enjoy, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We're here to help. Bye.